I want to thank you for joining me today with Nina Urman. She is a life coach, a facilitator, a speaker, a founder of Dream, Dare, Act Coaching and InsideOut Circles. And today, Nina's going to discuss the 3 secrets for unstoppable self-confidence, how to believe in yourself no matter what. And I'm Linda Fisk. I'm the CEO of Leadership Global, and I am absolutely thrilled to welcome you to the program today. Leadership Global is the most impactful community of extraordinary women in the world. We unleash the full potential of high-performing and growth-oriented leaders in a confidential, supportive, and private community. Leadership Global helps members accelerate their success by defining their vision, growing their leadership, expanding their influence, and leaving a lasting legacy. So if you're interested in learning more about this remarkable community of women leading across business, politics, and entertainment, then please reach out. It would be my privilege and honor to be able to spend time with each and every one of you. Now, for today's program, I have to ask you, do you struggle with doubt, with insecurity, maybe a bit of lack of confidence? Well, if so, you are not alone. In fact, research tells us that compared to men, women don't consider themselves ready for promotions. They predict they'll do worse on tests, and they generally underestimate their considerable ability. You may know that intellectually, you're strong, you're capable, you're powerful, and you can achieve anything you want. You're smart, you're driven, you're ambitious, and yet you still may struggle with self-critical, kind of anxious thoughts, fear, stress. And because self-confidence is linked to literally almost every element involved in a happy and fulfilling life, it is absolutely imperative that we really dive deep into this idea of self-confidence and how to cultivate that for each of us individually. It is just, it's fundamental to leading a happy and fulfilling life. So it's time to believe in yourself in a way that you can live your life from your essence and live your very best life and the best version of you. So I am so excited to introduce you to Nina Urman. She is a life coach, a facilitator, a speaker, and as I said, the founder of Dream, Dare, Act Coaching and InsideOut Circles. And today, Nina is going to talk to you about how you can cultivate the kind of self-confidence that allows you to push the limits of your ability, claim your power, and change the world. Who is up for that? Can I see that in the chat? Just put in a 1 if you were up for that today. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Nina Urman. As a former professional tennis player and life strategist with over 10 years experience delivering transformation, Nina supports executive spouses all over the world to tap into the highest expression of themselves so that they can live extraordinary lives on all levels. Now get this, this is one of the things I love about Nina. She thinks in English, she feels in Russian, she organizes in German, she speaks fluent French, and coaches in all 4 languages. Nina's holistic inside-out coaching method and her laser-like tools ignite real change that lasts a lifetime. Nina has a master's degree in finance and strategy and international relations, and she's a certified executive and life coach and has been serving on the regional board of YPO for a number of years. As a CEO spouse herself, Nina has a wealth of experience in managing a career as well as a thriving blended family with 3 young children, and get this, 4 stepchildren. I mean, that alone has my absolute admiration and respect. But let's jump right in and let me introduce to you Nina Urman. Nina, thank you for being here today.
Linda, thank you so much for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you might be in the world. It's my honor and pleasure to be part of this community and to share with you my 3 secrets to self-confidence. And you so beautifully, Linda, and self-confidently introduced me. So I'm honored. I'm really honored to be here. So for those of you who are not familiar with my work, my mission is to help people connect to their essence, to connect to their what's possible for them. I help people from all around the world because they have this possibility to speak in the different languages. And what I have found is that on the outside, we're all very different. We come from different walks of life. We have different stories, different skin colors, different paths. But what do we all want? If you dig to the essence and you listen to people and their stories, what we all want is we want to feel better. We want to have a great life experience, and we want to feel self-confident because confidence comes from within. And this is what I want to offer to all of you today. But before we go to the content, what I would love to do first is to settle us in and to center ourselves and to really kind of experience that self-confidence on the inside, to create this safe container, right? So we are able to talk to each other, and it's on Zoom, but still we need this exchange and connection. So the way I see this today, we're going to do a short centering, the center in our bodies. I will share with you the 3 secrets to self-confidence that I, have discovered for myself and lived for myself. And then we are going into discussion and Q&A and questions that you might have. All right, so with this, I'm going to put in some music for us. And I would like for you to, wherever you are, if you feel comfortable, to sit with your spine up straight and to tune into your body. And if you wish, you can turn up your sound, turn up your video for this exercise, and just be present and be with. I'm going to put the music on, and what I'd like for you to do is to calm your mind and calm your body. You can close your eyes if you want to. Really connect to your breathing. And I want you to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth as if you would blow out a candle, right? So we want to do this for 5 times just to calm out your nervous system and be really present with our bodies. Really good. Let me see how you're all doing this. Very good. Just keep on breathing and releasing. Let go of anything that is in your way and create some inner space. And now just breathe organically. Let your breath flow. And check your body for any stuck energy, any pressure that you're feeling or experiencing. Very good. Yes. Perfect. Now I want you to feel into what it's like to be self-confident, what it means to fill up yourself with self-confidence. I want you to travel to a time in your life where you felt fully self-confident in your body, where you were fully showing up to you. Notice what it feels like. Connect to that feeling. Take another deep breath through your mouth. Let it all in and let it all out. Very good. Just connect to your sound. And we let the music flow a little bit longer. And whenever you're ready, you can just come back to the here and now. And open up your eyes whenever you're ready. Just come back. Welcome back, everyone. All right. Very good. I hope you like that experience. I just love doing the centering because it kind of brings us back to ourselves. Just our energy is taking in so many different pulls, right? We're always pulled in different directions these days. All right, let's start with the content. I think that self-confidence is one of those things, Linda and everyone mentioned it, that really determines whether you're going to rock your life, whether you're going to have an extraordinary life experience or not. When you look at people that have genuine self-confidence, you know that they're about to create something extraordinary or they've just created something amazing. And I think it's very, very powerful. So let me share with you the 3 secrets that I have learned on how to rediscover yourself, to build more confidence from within. 3 secrets that for me have helped me to, from going spinning all over the place, indulging in self-doubt, indulging in overwhelm and confusion, to getting clarity in what I truly want and then going out there and getting it. All right, you ready? The self-confidence that I want to talk to you about comes from within. The secret number 1 is self-confidence is different from confidence. I want you, if you have your journals out, to write this down because you're going to have a different experience once you're writing as well. So knowing that self-confidence is different from confidence changes everything. Let me explain. So many of us can evaluate ourselves pretty easily when it comes to confidence. That's based on something external, based on evidence from the past. For example, let's say I'm very confident in playing tennis, as I have been a professional tennis player for 10 years of my life. I know how to hit the ball, I know at what angle, at what speed, I know how to serve. And I assure you that you have an area in your life, I want you to think about this, that you really feel confident about. You have the evidence and the proof that you can do it. And you can look to your past, and you can look at your experience, you can look at your knowledge, and on your ability that you know how to do something. Now, I work with people from all around the world, and they're leaders, and they're brilliant, and they're multilingual, and super educated, and travel the world, and they still feel self-doubt. They still feel like they're not enough. They still feel like something external is holding them back to when it comes to living your fullest life. Why? Well, for me, the answer is it's because they rely on confidence based on something out there, based on their belief system that has a lot of evidence. Let me give you an example. When I first met my husband and people would ask me at fancy dinner parties, what do you do? And, I just finished college, and Linda just told you I was kind of in a, I had the 4 stepchildren and I was in a transition place. And I would feel insecurity and shame at the moment because I wasn't doing anything, right? In our society today, it's almost like we always need to do something. And so what I would do is I would rely on my confidence. I would go and hide in my past. I would say, well, but I used to be a professional tennis player and I've studied at this great universities and international relations and finance and strategy and all of these things that we kind of tie to our identity, right? So self-confidence in the way I want to offer it to you today is all based internally, right? That's why my company is called Inside Out, right? Dream, Dare, Act, and InsideOut Circles. It's all about understanding what drives us within. So self-confidence is based on your opinion and your ability to believe in yourself without any evidence, without any history, without anything that you can kind of, put your finger on and say that I've done this. Now you need both. I'm not saying that confidence is not a great thing. But when we talk about self-confidence, it's that emotion of growth. That's emotion that propels you into an ever increasingly amazing life. When we doubt ourselves, question ourselves, we only rely on what we have confidence in, which is something that we've created in the past. When we're self-confident, we're willing to try new things and go after our big dreams and set ourselves up for failure and success because it belongs to the human experience. When we're self-confident, we're willing to get out of our comfort zones, right? And try new things and fail and still be there. So I want you to ask yourself a question right now and give it some reflection time first. Like, where would you grade yourself on your self-confidence scale, right? Your belief in yourself, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. And I want you to do this before I define self-confidence in more specifics, because at the end, I'll ask you again, and maybe you can then reconsider that this is something you really have a choice in. So give me in the chat, your number on your self-confidence scale. Okay, let's see. If 3 to 10, interesting. Nita going 3 to 10, right? You're going to tell me it's because of the circumstance, depending on which circumstance I'm in, right? 5, 6, or 7. Okay. Tell me more. Linda, where you see yourself? Yes, 6 to 10. Interesting. Or sometimes there's a range. Like we'll be like, well, it depends on the situation and how I feel and how people show up and how others believe in me, right? Okay. 6, 9 all of the time, Linda. Okay, depending on the day, ranging from 4 to 7. Darla says 3. All right, very good. And just be really honest with yourself, right? Where do I rate myself when it comes to self-confidence? Now remember, this is the belief in yourself without any evidence, without any history. Who are you in your essence? But you don't have to go for the past experience to believe in yourself, especially when it comes to new things, right? Okay, so it's 6 and 7s. Yes, thank you. Just keep on reflecting up on this, right? I want you to do this before I go further. Where are you in terms of your self-confidence? What do you believe about yourself? It's all about the belief system. Remember, your opinion based on evidence from the past is confidence. Your opinion based on who you are and your ability in the future is your self-confidence, regardless of having any kind of skill set or expertise in that area. Okay, very good. Yes, Linda says, my confidence comes from my faith, not only accomplishments, achievement, and success. Yes, absolutely. So this is one of the fundamental kind of thoughts that I want you to go away with. Can I have belief and self-confidence in myself no matter what? Meaning whatever is external, it just doesn't change. Whatever I do in my life, that, it happens. We're doing all the time things. But can I have that unshakable belief in myself, unstoppable confidence that is truly within, right? Okay, very, very good. Okay, so that was my first secret. The second secret is built on the first belief. So let's define self-confidence more specifically. You probably have a definition for yourself. What is self-confidence for you, right? Just give it a thought. What does it mean to be self-confident, right? And we can write it out. We kind of also felt it in our bodies right now. I had you go to a scenario where you felt self-confident, right? So for me, and I worked on this really hard, the definition of self-confidence is your willingness to feel any emotion. Right? Let me explain this, because this is something that is not intuitive. I want you to think about this. The worst that can happen in your life is an emotion. Think about the worst tragedy, the worst horror film, the worst that could possibly happen. The reason why it's so bad, it's because of how we feel. We'll feel pain, we'll feel loss, we'll feel humiliation. Now, let me offer you this. Everything that happens in the world, the circumstances are completely neutral especially we can't control them until we have thoughts about them. And then those thoughts will create the feelings. Your thoughts create your emotions. They create vibrations in your body. Now, if you're willing to feel anything, if you're willing to embrace humiliation, terror, fear, shame, then you're so much more self-confident moving forward. Self-confidence is what propels us forward into action because we are not afraid of feeling any emotion. We are unwilling to actually fully feel, and that's what gets us into trouble. So think about it. Let me give you a specific example. So let's say you're going into an event and you speak publicly. I'm choosing this example because many of us have a fear of public speaking, right? Many of us would say that public speaking is, worse than death, right? They have lots of studies on it. So let's say you're never spoken in front of a huge crowd and you don't have any confidence to build from, right? From previous speaking engagement. Like some of you, Linda, I'm sure you're one of those. You're like, I've done 100 speeches. I'm all set. I have confidence that I can succeed at this. You don't really need a lot of self-confidence in order to speak to a crowd because you can rely on what you already know. But self-confidence is what you really need and to rely on when you do something outside of your comfort zone, when you do something for the first time. So let's say you're going to speak to this big group of people. Now, the worst that can happen, I want you to fast forward. The worst that can happen is humiliation. Let's say you fall on stage, you start crying, you freeze. Now, what's so bad about that? Right? You be humiliated, right? Now, by the way, the reason we feel humiliation is because we have thoughts in our brain about what it means to fall on stage, what it means to cry on stage, or whatever we mess up. So if I'm going into a brand new situation and I'm going to speak to thousands of people, and I've never done this before, but I'm willing to experience any emotion, I'm willing to experience the worst case scenario 10 times over, then I get to go in with so much self-confidence because I'm not afraid. What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of people? No, I'm afraid of my own emotion. And if there's no emotion that I'm not willing to feel, I'm not so afraid anymore. This for me is self-confidence. Do you know what I mean? It's like real self-confidence is your ability to have your own back. Here's what I mean by this. You're going to speak to thousands of people, and you're probably not going to do a great job because you have no confidence to build from. You're going to mess it up. First time you speak to 1,000 of people, you're unprepared, so you go in, you rely, can't rely on your confidence, you have memorized your speech, you mess it up. Now, if you have this belief that you're going to have your own back no matter what, even if the crowd doesn't like you, even if something terrible happens, and you decide for yourself, this is about self-love, right? I will not beat myself up. I will not make it mean terrible things about myself. I will not decide to produce those thoughts that cause a lot of extra humiliation and suffering. I will just have my own back no matter what. I can walk on that stage with thousands of people, and there's nothing that I'm not willing to feel. The worst thing that can happen is an emotion. That's beautiful self-confidence, right? If I'm telling myself the whole time, I'm good enough, I've never done this before, this is never going to work out, who the hell you think you are? Like whatever we're telling ourselves all of the time, right? This is how we're talking to ourselves. And most of us are very unconscious of it. So I want you to really think about how are you talking to yourself? This is unconscious scripts that are just running through our brain. And most of them, all the people I work with, we all have this kind of common understanding that there's something wrong with us, that we're not enough, that there's something that, and if people find out, we're going to be so ashamed and humiliated. But the thing is that we're kind of failing forward. We're kind of already experiencing these emotions, right? So when you're trying to, for instance, push the nervousness away, If you're nervous for public speaking and you resist that nervousness, you're going to be even more nervous. But if you're willing to feel anything and you manage your thoughts around it and you say, listen, nervousness is part of this. Nervousness is just excitement without breathing. So the only thing I need to do is to breathe. And you take a deep breath, right? You move into the nervousness and you're going to be fine with it. It's interesting, in our brain, excitement and nervousness are almost the same chemical reactions, right? It's like next to each other, but one produces an emotion of discomfort while another one just produces this overflow of excitement, right? And it just feels amazing. So your ability to trust yourself, to have your own back, your ability to manage your thoughts, and your ability to feel anything, this is my second secret to self-confidence. That's the essence of growth I was talking about, right? This is what really propels us into our potential. Very good. Right, let me see what you're all saying. Yes, no good. Yeah, you're like, there's so many discussions. We're gonna go into Q&A soon, but let me tell you about the third secret, and it's linked to the second one. And I believe it's one that is going to be very practical for you and a little bit scary too. So the third secret to self-confidence is failure. And people are usually like, what do you mean failure? No, nobody wants to fail, right? But in my philosophy, and I am really applying this in my life, especially right now, failure is a huge opportunity to increase and train your self-confidence. So this is counterintuitive again. So remember how we define self-confidence, right? We said, well, first of all, it's a difference between confidence and self-confidence. And if we think about it, self-confidence is kind of towards our future, right? Well, potential, what we can unlock. And then it's the willingness to feel any emotion. So you're trusting in yourself. You have your own back. You manage your thoughts. That's self-confidence. Why does it matter? Because it propels you into action. All the energy that you need to go out there and create whatever it is you want in the world. We generate our self-confidence from our thinking. Do I trust myself? How good am I at managing my thoughts? How much am I willing to experience my emotions? Now, how does failure fit into that? If you always rely on confidence, you can only keep on doing things you've always done. Now, again, when you do something new, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to do something new. You need self-confidence. But what we're trained in school is that we learn by succeeding. If you just keep on doing what the things that you're good at, you'll always just be at that plateau, right? In school, you get a quiz and you get a good mark, you get a good grade, and now you're proceeding, now you're learning, now you're winning, right? You get another quiz, and by the end of the test, you're like, if you've done all the work, you receive, the great mark. When you go out in the real world and you go and start your own business, or you try a new job, or you start a relationship, you're going to see that it's much more complicated, right? You're going to be learning by failure, which is the opposite of what we learn in school. So imagine you go to school and every page you get an F, right? And you get celebrated for that F, for doing the work, for practicing the work, because this is much closer to actually what happens in the reality. It's the opposite. When you have that growth mindset, you are actually embracing failure. Failure becomes the shortcut to success, becomes the shortcut to self-confidence. This is your training ground to train that emotion, that willingness to feel any emotion, right? I often say it's an overused example, but I have a small child that just started to walk, and it's like kids do it all the time. They fail and they stand up again. They fail and stand up again. Like imagine if a child would say, oh, this whole walking thing, I just don't like it. I'm just going to give up. But most of us, what we do is we try a thing, we try it 5 times, and we're like, that just doesn't work. Or I'm not self-confident enough in doing this, right? And what I call massive action is when you take action until you get the result that you want. And it's through failure. It's like you need to fail in order to understand that you can actually deal with the emotion and get up again. right? So if you're like most of the students in school, they start believing that they're not smart enough, not capable enough, that they can do it. So all this fails, pile up into a belief system that not smart, not good enough, we're never going to succeed. But what if we change that mindset and would say, all these fails just mean I'm doing it right. I'm just not understanding it quite yet. I just need to do the next thing. I'll just try something in a new way. That causes me to grow. When I get a test and I know all the answers, I'm not growing. See what I'm saying? Like I was one of the ones that would like study everything by heart because I was so afraid of failure. But actually, and I'm understanding this now more and more, self-confidence is what you think about yourself when you fail. What do you think about yourself before you try something new? And can you decide ahead of time that no matter what happens, I'm going to have my own back. I'm going to love myself and I'm going to talk nicely to myself. I'm not going to beat myself up. This is what keeps you moving in the directions of your dreams, because as you go out there and try new things and you don't know the how, right? The way you're going to learn how to do that is by failing, right? And I look at my life now and I look at the success I've created for myself, and I couldn't have planned it the way that I got here, right? There's no way, because I didn't know what I didn't know yet, right? My self-confidence, belief in myself is what got me here in the first place. So failure, I really want you to consider, is an opportunity to increase your self-confidence. And practically, you can even tell yourself, okay, like how can I stretch myself? How can I set my goals bigger? It's almost like impossible goals. I know I can't get there in a year or 2 or 5, whatever it is that you wanted to create for yourself. But I am willing to fail and I'm willing to go into that right direction, because I know that I'm going, to fail with enthusiasm, as Churchill would say, right? Like success is just failure with enthusiasm. And I'm going into it and I can do it. It comes from our experience of failing and getting up. If you fail something, you might notice that your confidence decreases, right? But if you want to build self-confidence, that's the perfect time to do it, right? I'm failing and I can still believe that I'm here. All right. Let me see what all of you are saying. All right, massive action. Yes, integrate the learning. So good. All right, I think, Linda, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to open up for questions already, because I see your ladies and gentlemen are writing away and it's so great to see so much interaction. So I would love for all of you, if you can, to pull out your video so I can see you. If you want to ask a question, you can use the feature to raise your hand.
I'll run through the chat a little bit for you, Nina, to sort of call on some people that have noted some areas that they're struggling. So Ruth, most recently, you noted that you freeze when you start thinking of failing, because it's so paralyzing to you, this idea that you might fail, so you don't start on new projects. So when you do realize that I've not done this before, or maybe this isn't a skill set of mine, or this isn't a level of expertise that I have. And so there's an opportunity for me to stumble, to make missteps, to make mistakes, to maybe even fail. How do you sort of overcome that and say, okay, so I might fail, and that's okay. It's just, it's part of learning, it's part of growing, and it's part of the experience of being human and just sort of moving forward. So Nina, how can you overcome that fear of failing and the consequences of that failure?
Right. So this is what happens. Our brain doesn't want to do anything new. Our brain wants to keep us safe. Our brain wants, the default thinking when we have 60,000 thoughts a day is, we've done all of this was right. I'm surviving. I don't want to go out there out of my comfort zone and do something new, because then I might die. This is what your brain is literally telling yourself, right? If you have this fear of failure. Why? Because of an emotion that you're unwilling to feel. Like, this is what I was saying earlier, is like, if you're willing to feel that emotion. So now one of the practices I share is, you got to understand what's going on in your brain. I call it the thought detox. So whenever you have fear of failure, I want you to sit down, take out a piece of paper and write out, empty your brain and detox your brain on paper. What am I making this mean? Like, if I fail, then what? People are going not like me. I'm not going to be successful. Like, all of these thoughts that come, they are just like programmed in your brain. And this is what you think is the reality. It's the truth. You're just, telling me the news, you're observing. But what I'm offering you is that actually what happens is that you're not your thoughts. You're just having all of these things, and you need to clear it up in order to move forward. And so one of the ways is to, how can I use this failure as fuel? Because frankly, like, life is all uncertain. I just did a talk on uncertainty in leadership, and what we came up was like, life is a series of changes, right? So we need to see how we can move forward by rewiring our brain, by mastering uncertainty, right? Is this helpful? Let me see.
Okay. And then there was a comment about perfectionism and this idea that, if something can't be done to perfection, then there's this feeling that it won't be successful, that success equals perfection, that in order to be successful, you have to be perfect. Can you address that too?
Yeah, that's a belief. That's a thought, right? So I want you to see something very, very quickly. So the circumstance, whatever it is, the circumstance, this is the model I work with, and I find it very powerful. The circumstance is something that you can't control, right? And then the circumstance may trigger a thought, and a thought that we think over and over and over again becomes a belief. So the belief in this case is, something's only successful when it's perfect, right? And this thought, I want you to think about, will create a feeling in your body, will create a vibration in your body, right? And I'm thinking what vibration would create, like, from what I'm hearing and what I'm kind of feeling, it's not going to be a very positive feeling. It's going to be probably paralyzing. So you're thinking it has to be perfect for it to be successful. You feel paralyzed. And then all of our feelings drive our actions, okay? And the actions we take create our results, right? So you kind of see, this is something we can't control. It's a circumstance. For instance, you decided to start a new business, you decided to do something new. And then your thought is, it has to be perfect. Only then it's successful. You feel paralyzed. Now the actions that you're going to take, are they creating the results you want? And if not, you need to change that thought, right? So this is about belief system and wiring your brain, because is it really true that it has to be perfect to be successful? And I want you to just think about it, right? And you are not your thoughts. This is something where I say in this model, like, where are you? You're kind of looking at this model. You're looking at this reality. Your brain has made up a virtual reality that it wants everything predictable, right? But we're not in a predictable reality. Like, everything is changing constantly. So I would challenge that thought. I would work with you. If I had you as a client, I'll be like, okay, let's like really look at these things, and how has perfectionist kept you safe in a way? Because our thoughts usually keep us safe, our belief systems. And how you can wire your brain in order to take different actions and create different results. Because right now it's not creating the results you want. If not, you would have not brought it up. Yeah. Let's see other things. Yeah, Terry says, I have changed my mindset, but I always say, it's like quiet in a meeting, too worried about having my opinion. Then I learned that no one else's opinion is better than mine, unless it is factual. Your opinion is no better than mine. Absolutely. And this is the belief in yourself, right? Like, how can I believe in myself more than anybody in the room? I always encourage you to do this. And some people would say to me, well, but I want other people to believe in me. I want my parents to believe in me. I want my husband to believe in me. I want girlfriends to believe in me. And I'm like, how can you ask somebody to believe in you if you're not modeling it? If you don't allow yourself to believe it, you have to go first. You have to do the first step. And only then it's interesting how this works. Like only then, all of a sudden, everybody else believes in you too, because you've decided, because you show up a different way, you show up with a different energy. I want you to think about those times in your life where you felt really empowered. And some of the days where you are so confident, like so super self-confident, you're walking down the street and nothing that anybody does or would say to you would stick. Right? These are the moments of truth. These are the moments of our essence that we need to cultivate more.
So Terry, you said something in the chat that I want to note. And you said for you, you've changed your mindset, but you've always sat quietly in a meeting, too worried about having an opinion, and then learned that no one else's opinion is any better than yours, right? And so unless it's factual, your opinion is no better than mine. Absolutely. And so with that adoption of that mindset that I'm on an equal playing ground with my peers, that we are equals, that no one is more deserving of being able to voice their opinion than I am. We're all equal. Does that help you feel more confident when you enter into a meeting with your boss or with your coworkers then? Would love to hear from you, Terry.
Thank you so much. Just to say thank you. This has been an amazing session so far. Yes, I think for me, that is actually one of the things that I learned from a coaching session that I went through. And I think for me, that was the most important thing. My biggest fear was I wasn't good enough, and that my opinions actually didn't matter. But it's actually not true. And since I have changed that mindset, it's actually been a different story. And I've been able to use that in everything that I do. Like it helps also to let go and not take others' opinion on your own shoulders either, because it's all opinion.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem.
And it's so interesting because we all want to be liked, right? Like there's this internal need. We want to be connected to other people. What are the people going to think of us, etc. And it's very interesting because sometimes we're trying to change and to please other people, right? So they like us, right? It's so interesting how this works, like in a human psychology way. But the truth of it is, if you authentically show up as yourself and you're confident with who you are, who cares what other people think? It's like, I always say this example, like you can be the most juicy, beautiful peach in the world, like the most amazing and tasty one. There's always going to be people that are allergic to peaches. They're just allergic and they can't stand you, and that's fine, right? This is what it is. But do you want to be an apple instead and just please so they'll taste you, but you won't be yourself? And I think this is something that, really hits the essence, like really goes deep into who are you? What do you stand for? What is your opinion of this? And can you back up yourself? And even if you fail and even if you mess up, can you still love yourself? Can you still show up for yourself? I think that's just the truth I wanted to communicate today.
Nina, Daylin said something that I think was really important too. You said, Daylin, that you suffer from imposter syndrome to some degree. You said every morning you wake up wondering if today is the day that your employer will figure out that you're a fraud and you have no idea what you're doing. Well, clearly you know what you're doing, but it's the feeling that somehow you don't measure up and that you you're an imposter in the title you have, the role you have, the job you have, the employer you work with. And so I would say, in fact, that's a very common feeling, especially for women. But Nina, how do you recommend that Daylin begin reframing her thoughts around that to help her feel more confident?
Yeah. So imposter syndrome is a big one because it comes back to that thought, I'm not enough and somebody will find out, right? It's like we're kind of all pretending to have the truth or to be something that we're not. And I think it's, again, like you're saying, reframing your thoughts, reframing your belief system. And really what I would do is detach yourself from your own thinking, right? Like, can you be this person observing these thoughts and say, interesting. Why am I choosing to think? What is the evidence? And your brain is always going to find evidence for what you believe. So you want to do the thought detox and like on purpose start believing something new. And if you can't believe, for instance, I am the perfect person for the job, right? Which would be like the contrary belief. Like right now you're thinking, I'm an imposter, I'm a fraud, maybe like I'm not good enough for this. Then maybe the jump to I'm the perfect person for this is too high and too long. Maybe there's a thought or a belief system that you can find in the middle, right? I matter, I'm here, I'm working here already, right? And then just like believing that, something a neutral thought that will help you to then slowly build up that muscle every single day, right? It's almost like, when I do a lot of weight coaching as well, and if you ask women to say, from I hate my body to I love my body, the neutral thought would be, I have a body. And they can believe that. They can believe that. And so then they can step forward and, to do the work until they love themselves. But this is the work. This is the human experience. And one thing that I really wanted to say, Linda, as well, one of my main messages is that we're not supposed to be happy all of the time, right? Many people that come to me for guidance, they're like, I just want to feel happy. And I'm like, do you really all of the time? Like, I just want to feel happy all of the time. And if you dig deeper, we don't want to feel happy all of the time. We want to feel a range of emotions, right? And so sometimes we do want to feel sad, and sometimes we do want to feel frustrated. It's not the circumstance causing it, but we're here for the human experience. And it's really important to understand. So what you focus on, you will experience more of. What you practice, especially what you practice every single day. So to get out of this belief system, you need to slowly wire your brain, work with somebody that can show you your brain and empty it out, because it's all about that mindset, and it's so important to do it.
So, Daylin, does that help, or do you want to add to anything that I mentioned? Do you want to expand on that at all?
No, not particularly. I mean, I think that it's, I have a 25-year resume that tells me that I'm good at my job. I have a 25-year career history and a series of promotions and raises that say I'm good at what I do. So I can look back at that stuff and say, well, yeah, I convinced them then. The challenge then is that, like, well, can I convince them today?
Yeah, but that's confidence, right? Like, this is all is confidence. This is the history from before, the evidence in the past. Now, in this present moment, can you tell yourself, and this is the work, right? Can you believe in yourself? How can you train that muscle that no matter what happened before, you have your back now, from now on into the future? Confidence, self-confidence. Self-confidence is that unshakable belief and trust in yourself, no matter what. And it's a training, it's a muscle, and it's literally like, we think there's just some unicorns out there that have gotten it naturally, and it's not true. All the super successful people experience anxiety, experience fear of failure, and experience all of this stuff. Like, I coach people, I've talked to people all around the world that were really successful, and what they tell me is like, I hope nobody's going to find out, right? Like, we all have this thing, and it's the failure, and it's questioning yourself, reflecting on yourself, and understanding that the circumstances are something that we can't control. They're outside, but everything else, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and results, we're completely in charge of. Just knowing that, having this awareness, for me, changes everything. Is this helpful, Daylin?
Intellectually, yes.
Yes.
It's something, that I can keep. It
takes a little practice to integrate it emotionally. I'm with you on that. I understand that 100%. Guys, we're just about at the end of our time. And so what I would leave you with is, if you are interested in furthering this conversation around confidence, if this is something that you feel like, you learned a lot today, it was something that was really helpful for you, but this is something that you need to dive into more deeply, then I really celebrate that. And I would invite you to get in touch with Nina, because I know that confidence is actually a stronger predictor of success than competence. So competence actually is not a strong predictor of success at all, but confidence really is. So if this is an area of life that you want to dive into more deeply, you really want to wrangle with, you want to build that unstoppable self-confidence, then feel free to reach out to Nina. As I noted, Nina is a life coach. She's a facilitator, a speaker. She's a founder of Dream, Dare, Act Coaching, and she's here to help you. So feel free to reach out to her. If you'd like to learn more about joining this supportive, life-giving, incredibly empowering community of extraordinary women all around the world, then don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to welcome you to this incredible community of high-performing, growth-oriented leaders that can help you support whatever your definition of success is and actually accelerate your success. So if you'd like to learn more about Leadership Global, please feel free to reach out. And again, thank you, all of you, for joining our discussion today about the 3 secrets of unstoppable self-confidence. Be sure to copy the chat because those secrets are reiterated in the chat, and all of you will be getting a copy of this recording as well. So we'll send out a link for this recording in the next day or two so that you can have this as a reference of today's discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a pleasure to see everyone, some old friends and some new, and I'm so glad that everyone was able to carve out this time to talk about something that's so fundamental to not only your own happiness and fulfillment, but also your success. Thank you so much, everyone.